Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. This is Luchi's Design. If you are new to my channel, you're welcome. Please make sure you subscribe, like and share my video. And if you're a returning subscriber, thanks for all your support. On today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how I recreated the stylish A-line gown on my thumbnail. Please make sure you watch to the end because I'll be showing you how to make this gown from the start to the finishing. You also learn how to cut and sew the stylish flared sleeve. So this is the ankara print I'll be using for the sake of this tutorial. It has a very thick texture. I also have this white bias for piping. I made use of 3 years of ankara print to achieve this style you are seeing on my thumbnail. In order not to waste my fabric, I'll be cutting front and back together. To do that, I will use the biggest part of my body measurement to determine the amount of fabric I'll put on fold. So my hip is the biggest part of my body measurement and I have 46 inches for my hip. I will add 12 inches for my necessary sewing allowances. Do not add more than that or less than 12 inches. So I'll go ahead now and divide it. This part is the part I'll be using for my 2 sleeves. So I will set it aside now and show you how I folded my fabric. Okay, I will spread it out. I will fold it into 2 by width. This is my width, the 58 inches I measured. So I will fold it this way. Can you see what I'm doing? And I will fold it again. The front part is longer by 2 inches because of the zipper allowance. The one under is my front part, the one that have zipper allowance. So I left 2 inches for my zipper allowance. So I'll be marking on the back side so that you understand what I'm doing. Can you see my 2 inches zipper allowance? The front is open while the back is closed. So the next thing I will do now is to mark my starting point. From there I will start inputting my vertical measurement. From my shoulder to my chest line is 9 inches. To get your chest line, divide your bust by 6 and add extra 2 inches. From my shoulder to my waist is 17.5 inches. From my shoulder to my hip line is 26 inches. From my shoulder to my knee is 19 inches and the full length of the gown is 40 inches. I will add extra 1.5 inches for folding. So after marking it out, I will roll it out so that the lines can be visible for you to see. The next thing now is to mark my horizontal measurement. I'll divide my shoulder by 2. 16 divided by 2, I have 8 inches. I'll mark it and I will roll it down to my chest line. For my neck width, I marked 3 inches for my front and back neck width. I start from the back part. So for the front neck depth, I took 3 inches and I will mark a square line. I will now take 1 inch for my back neck depth and I will curve it this way. I'll curve my front part this way. Can you see? I start my measurement from the back part, the part that is folded. So I will take 1 inch for my front shoulder slope and I'll take ½ inch for my back shoulder slope. I hope you're seeing what I'm doing. If you have any questions, do let me know in the comment section. I divided my chest line by 2. On the midpoint, I came in by 0.75 for the front part and 0.5 for the back part. I'll curve it. My chest line, I will be inserting quarter of my round bust there. Please note that all my measurement is starting from this folded edge, that's the back part. So divide your round bust by 4. You add ½ inch for ease and 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. On my half length, I will divide my round waist by 4. I will add 1 inch for that intake and I'll add 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. Please note that I did not add ease allowance on my waist because I want my waist area to be well fitted and well snatched. On my hip line, I will place quarter of my round hip there. I will add 1.5 inches for sewing allowance and half inch for ease allowance. The half inch ease allowance is because gown does not have a slit, so that you can easily move around, and the one I recreated from is a little bit free from the waistline. So after marking it, I'll connect it to my waistline the way you see me doing. For my round knee, I will just measure what I have on my hip. I'll place it there. You can remove half inch if you want, but for me, I will measure exactly what I have on my hip, and I will connect it the way you see me doing. After connecting it, the next thing I'll be doing now is to cut it off. I will start cutting it from the back part the way you see me doing. I'll cut the neckline for the back. I'll cut the shoulder slant for the back and armhole for the back. I'll just trim everything out. Okay, I will remove the back parts now. Can you see what I have? I told you guys that I started from the back part because I wanted you to see what I was doing. So for that reason, I will reconnect my neck for the front part. From here now, I will chalk it down to 3 inches. I will mark it. I will curve my neckline. From the midpoint of my armhole, I'll come in by half inch. I'll connect it the way you see me doing. I will cut it out now. I'll also trace out my shoulder slant for the front, the 1 inch I measured down. I will trim it off. This is the end of the cutting part. The next thing I will be doing now is to add my darts. If you have been following my tutorials, you know that I don't like adding darts on my dresses, especially when I'm using crepe fabric. You see this particular dress, you need to add that because that's what will give you that fitted shape around the waist area, like the one on my thumbnail. So I measured 4.5 inches for my nipple to nipple measurement. To determine where the dart will end, I will measure from my shoulder to my nipple point. I mark 10.5 from my waist to 5.5 inches. That's where it will end. So on my waist, I will take half inch on the both dart leg, and I will connect it to the 10.5 inches I measured upwards for my nipple point, and the 5.5 inches I measured downwards the way you see me doing. This is my dart. I mark it this way because of the beginner, so that you can know how to shape it if you want to sew. So I'll do the same thing on the other side. Just unfold it. Make sure you are marking this thing on the wrong side of your fabric. I will notch my zipper allowance, and for my zipper allowance I will mark 4.5 inches. I will just repeat the same thing I did on the back part. This is when I was trying to mark it. You can take your time and do this. If you're not a beginner, you can add your dart the way you used to add it on a straight gown. Alright, if you have watched up to this length and you have not subscribed to my channel, please make sure you subscribe to my channel if you find my video helpful. Alright, I ironed down my 2 inches zipper allowance. I want to remove front zipper bulge so that the waist area will be well fitted. So on my waistline, I came in by 0.75. I'll mark it here, and I will slant it to my chest line the way you see me doing, and I will bring it down to my hip line. I'll go ahead now and trim it off. If you want to make this gown, you can decide to use lining or you just sew it like that. For me, I'll be using lining, but first of all, I'll go and hold my darts because I don't want to add that on my lining. So I will go to my sewing machine now and follow the line that I mark and stitch. Please, if you're sewing your dart, don't sew it up to your bust point. Stop at 1 inch before your bust point. For the sake of beginners here, you just fold it this way and stitch it. Can you see? That's why I marked it, so that you understand what I'm doing. I've gone ahead to sew my darts. Can you see what I have? Alright, so the next thing I'll do now is to fold my fabric into two so that I can place it on my lining and cut exactly what I have here. That is the reason I sewn my dart before, because I don't want my lining to have a dart. So I'll cut it now and come back and show you the next thing to do. So I've cut my lining both for the front and back. My lining is very light, so I iron my soft gum stay on it just to give it a little strength. I reduced my lining by 2.5 inches because I want it to have a little folding. The next thing I'll be doing now is to turn my fabric with my lining. I'll fold it this way. This is my front. I'll first of all sew the hem before sewing the two sides. And when you are sewing your neckline, please use hemming gun to turn your neckline. It will give your neckline a neat finishing. But before I go to my sewing machine, I will show you how you can place your bias on the front parts. Please note that you place your bias before you turn your dress with lining. So what I will do is that I will fold my hemming allowance just to determine the length of my gown, and from there I will measure 2 inches upwards. From the first line, I will measure another 2 inches. I want to have 3 lines for my bias. So I've marked it. I'll place it this way and I will sew at the both end just with a tiny stitch and stitch it down. So for the other side, you place it this way. Make sure it align, that the line are aligning. Can you see what I'm doing? Anyhow you want to do it, but make sure the lines are equal. All right, so I've marked it. I'll go to my sewing machine now and place it before turning it with lining. I'll come back and show you the next thing to do. Okay, I've done it. Can you see the wrong side? This is the wrong side. I've attached my bias. This is my lining. So I will turn it from my armhole now to the right side for you to see. Can you see? I'll turn this one also. Okay, iron it very well, please. Iron very well. This is what I have. I'll iron and fold my zipper allowance. This is what you will have when you are done. Just push it out and give it a good press. Can you see that my bias are equal? It's aligning. I've also turned my back. I will notch the neckline round and I will turn it inside out from my armhole. Can you see what I have at my hem? Okay, I'll push it out. You iron it very well. Iron very well. Ironing is very important so that you have a neat finishing. Next thing now is to attach my zipper. The length of my zip is 24 inches. From my neckline, I will measure 24 inches downwards. This is where my zipper will stop, so I will mark it. So from there, I will sew it straight down just to close it. So after that, I will go ahead and attach my zipper the way you used to attach your zip. I've done that already. Can you see? This is what you have. You fold it this way. You use your hemming gun to iron it, or you tack it with your hand needle just to give it a neat finishing. So I will be sewing my shoulder first before I shape the two sides. I'll be sewing the shoulder lining to lining, fabric to fabric, because I want to achieve a neat finishing. I've sewn it. I sewed with 1/2 inch. I'll trim the excess sewing allowance and I will turn it to the right side. Can you see what I have? I've concealed the rough part. This is what you have when you're done. The next thing I'll be doing now is to shape the two sides. I will spread it out and I will use my pin to secure it so that it doesn't move around when I'm sewing. So I will measure my bust divided by 2. Your bust is not meant to be tight, so remember the ease allowance of 1/2 inch we added. You will now take what you have here, you share it on the both side. Shape your dress very well. On the waistline, I will take my exact waist measurement. That's what I will use to shape my waistline. There's no ease allowance. I want my waist area to be well fitted. Whatever you have on your hip line is what you will place on your knee area. So you confirmed it. Your hip measurement is what you take down to your knee length. That's the same measurement. So I'm done shaping it. I'll give it a good ironing. Make sure you open press and iron properly. Next thing now is to cut our sleeve. So I will measure my round armhole, or you measure it on your body. So my armhole is 19. I'll divide the 19 by 6.28 because I want to cut a full flare. So if you divide it, you have 3 inches. But the long sleeve is 10, while the short sleeve is 7 inches. We'll add 1 inch to the long sleeve, making it 11 inches, and short sleeve I'll add 1, making it 8 inches. In order not to waste my fabric, I have cut out the piece that I'll use for the big flare and the one that I'll use for the smaller flare. And I'm cutting the 2 big flare at the same time and the 2 small flare at the same time. You know, if you want to cut a single flare, we'll fold it this way and we'll fold it again. But for me, I want to be cutting the 2 flare at the same time so that I will not waste my fabric. So the measurement for the big flare is 45 inches by length and the width is 27 inches. For the smaller sleeve, I have the length of 38 inches. And for the width, I have 22 inches. I'll show you the 2 ways you can fold your sleeve. For the smaller sleeve, you will fold it by width. Fold it into 2 and you fold it again equal by length. After folding it, you can fold it again. Can you see? For the bigger sleeve, we can fold it by length. You can just fold it anyhow, but make sure you are folding it into 4 because we are cutting 2 sleeves at the same time. You fold it again by width and fold again, making it into 4. Just watch carefully what I'm doing, you understand. Can you see what I have? One side is closed, one side is open, and the other 2 sides is closed. On the closed edge is where I will start placing my round waist measurement. So I will start with the smaller sleeve now. If you can remember, I told you that the smaller sleeve is 7 inches plus 1 inch sewing allowance. So I confirmed it and it's 8 inches. So from this close edge now, I will place my 8 inches all round the way you see me doing. After marking the 8 inches round, I will confirm it again for you to see what I have. Can you see? I have 8 inches. I'll go ahead and cut it off now. Okay, can you see? I'll separate it now. This is the 2 small sleeve. I want to clarify something here. You know, some people, they used to cut their sleeve this way. They will fold it and determine the middle. Have 4 lines and you come down and measure your round sleeve. Measure it round. Please, for this type of sleeve, don't do it that way. If you do it, you will not get the exact sleeve on my thumbnail. What you will do is to adjust it the way you see me do, and you measure what you have here. You're supposed to be having 7 inches for this smaller one. Can you see? I did the same thing on my big one. So from the apex of the flare, you measure your 10 inches. Adjust it in such a way you have 10 inches on the one that is on top. And I will mark the value I got when I divided my round armhole by 6.28. After marking my 3 inches all round, I will now cut. After cutting it, you will see the longer part. You notch the longer part, the one that you will place on your shoulder. This is the longer part. I have notched it. So can you see the difference? I placed the big and small one together, different of 3 inches. I'll measure it for you to confirm. It's 3 inches. I will cut the other sleeve now for you to understand what I did. You just fold it this way. Make sure that what you have here is 7 inches. Can you see? I will now measure my 3 inches. That is 19 divided by 6.2. You have 3 inches. I'll measure each one and I'll cut it out. I will also notch the part that will go to my shoulder blade. Can you see what I have? It's matching with my round armhole. I'm notching it just to indicate the part that will rest on my shoulder and the part that will go on my armpit area. If you open it like this, you find out that it's not equal. So the next thing now is to pipe it. I will place my bias from the wrong side so that I can be able to turn it to the right side after sewing. Just pipe it. The way you used to pipe the neck of your dress, that's how you will do it. Can you see what I'm doing? I will pipe it this way and I'll come back and show you the next thing to do. I've done it. I just pipe it from the wrong side. Can you see how I overlap the bias at the end? I overlapped it so that I can close it very well. For this kind of dress, the choice of your fabric matters a lot. As you can see, I did not use lining on the sleeve because the fabric is thick, so the bias will make it wavy and stronger. So I will now fold it to the right side this way. Can you see? Let me just use my pin to hold it so that I can mark the next line. I will place my bias after I will be top stitching on it. You fold it this way and top stitch on it. Please don't make the mistake of slashing your flay open. If you cut it open, you won't get what you want. The best thing is to place your bias round. So from the tip of the flay, I will come down by 2.5 inches for the next step. This is for the bigger sleeve. I will only place 2 bias steps. So I just mark it round. Make sure you mark it round so that when you are placing it, it will guide you on how to place it so that the bias will be even. Alright, I will just place it on top. You can fold the edge just to seal up the rough edge. You go around, sew it on the both sides with a tiny stitch. I will do it now and come back and show you the next thing to do. Okay, I've gone ahead to sew the smaller sleeve. I left this side open so that I can show you how to overlap it and top stitch on it. The gap I gave for my smaller sleeve is 1.5 inches from the tip of the flay. I measure 1.5 inches. I will place another 1.5 inches, making it 3 bias. For the bias, I used 3 rows and half. This is what was left. For the fourth one, I used 3 and half. So what I will do now is to place the big and small one together, making sure that the notch part is matching. Place it together and hold it with a pin. Make sure it's equal. So I've done this one already. I'll show you how you can attach it. You confirm your round armhole. Okay, it's the same thing, it's equal. So what I will do now is to place the notch part on my shoulder. This is the notch part. I will align it on my shoulder this way. Can you see what I'm doing? And I'll pin it round. I'll pin it round. After pinning it, I will go to my sewing machine and sew it round with 1/2 inch. This is not hard. The way you used to attach your sleeve, you do it that way. I will do the same thing on the other one. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel for more interesting videos. This is the outcome of everything. For the pockets, I think I will be doing a separate tutorial on that. Though it's already long, I don't want to make it too long. For if you want to attach it immediately, what you do is to measure 19 inches from your shoulder. You open it up. It's very simple to do. Alright,